I call on the Myanmar authorities to suspend military action, end the violence, uphold the rule of law, and recognize the right of return of all those who had to leave the country.
The members of the Security Council expressed deep concern about the situation in the Rakhine State, acknowledging the initial attack on Myanmar security forces on 25th August.
The world in today's day and time, including several big world leaders, are talking about the Rohingya issue and how they've been victimized by the Myanmar military. But the question remains, are Rohingyas really the victims, or there's more to what's being told to us? To understand all of this, we need to look at the Rakhine province where all this is happening. In the Rakhine province, on the north side, the Rohingyas form a majority, and on the south side is the ethnics and the Buddhists. So the first question which strikes my mind is, how could Rohingyas, who are not classified as citizens of Myanmar, can form a majority in their territory? To understand this, we need to go back in 1960s, late 60s and early 70s, when Bangladesh was having its liberation war, fighting for freedom against Pakistan. That's when a lot of Rohingyas and Bangladeshis who were living on border areas in Myanmar started to run away from the war into Myanmar to protect themselves. The war ended, everything was stabilized, but the Rohingyas and the Bangladeshis who were infiltrated into Rakhine province refused to go back to Bangladesh. And over the years, since the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000, now they have formed a majority in the Rakhine province. When this happened, they imposed Sharia. In late 2000, they imposed Sharia in certain part of Rakhine's northern territory, which forced the Buddhists and the ethnics to flee and move to the south part of Rakhine.
They are not only destroying Buddhist homes, but also Muslim houses. I don't want all the terrorist groups. This is a war about the occupation of the territory. They are killing all the people they see and destroying all the houses they see.
The temples were destroyed, they were not allowed to pray. The women were harassed, the girls were gang raped, and there were reports that some Buddhist girls and Hindu girls were actually smuggled into Bangladesh and sold off as sex slaves. Now this was happening since a long time, and the trigger came in 2012 when this happened again and a Buddhist girl was gang raped, murdered. This is when the clashes erupted between the Buddhists and the Rohingyas.
I just want to say what my own view is, he told me. I only see that Rakhine ethnic people have been attacked.
Now this was when the first time the Myanmar government asked the military to come in. This was the first time the military actually intervened at such a big level. The Myanmar's military job was to protect both sides, and let me tell you, they were doing a fantastic job. The Myanmar military was protecting the Rohingyas, but in these situations, it takes time to bring the situation under control. It was riots everywhere. But when this was happening, the Buddhists attacked a Rohingya village, and the Rohingyas were attacking Buddhist village which had no military presence. So the Rohingyas accused the Myanmar military of protecting the ethnics and the Buddhists and not protecting them. When all this was happening, the Rohingyas started to attack the Myanmar military and police force.
It is not the intention of the Myanmar government to apportion blame or to abnegate responsibility. We condemn all human rights violations and unlawful violence. We are committed to the restoration of peace, stability, and rule of law throughout the state.
When I say attacking, they didn't attack the military with shoes, sticks, stones. They were using automated weapons, including AK-47s and rocket launchers. Now comes to the point, how did Rohingyas get all these weapons? Because to you and to people like us, we were told that, Rohingyas are innocent, they have been killed and slaughtered, and they have been kicked out of Myanmar, the military is being brutal on them. Let me tell you, Rohingyas are no innocent, they are no victims. The Rohingyas were getting these weapons from Bangladesh. And let me come to the point, who are the people involved in this? Who are the people doing this? The two guys you see on your screen right now, the one with the blue circle, is Abdul Qadus. Abdul Qadus is a Rohingya who founded ARSA and Huji fighting the Myanmar military in Myanmar and Rakhine province. The guy you see with the red circle around his head is Hafiz Said. Hafiz Said is a United Nations designated terrorist with a $10 million bounty on his head. The terror network which Abdul Qadus founded, ARSA and Huji, is affiliated to Hafiz Said's terror network, LET, and has violations in Pakistan and also in Bangladesh. In this particular rally, they categorically said that they will cut off Rakhine's northern province from Myanmar and convert it into an Islamic territory. The ARSA comprises of all Rohingya men who are fighting against the Myanmar military. The Myanmar military is doing its job. They are being attacked. They were ambushed. A military convoy of Myanmar was ambushed in 2016 and soldiers were killed. Over 20 soldiers were killed. They ambushed Myanmar's military post around 32 different locations and they killed soldiers. The Myanmar military realized that very soon that a war has been unleashed on them and they have to protect their territory. In 2017, a mass grave was discovered by the Myanmar military where 32 Hindu men were buried alive and found dead. There are still over 100 Hindu men who were taken away are still missing. The women were gang raped as well. They were raped and they were taken away as well. Bina Bala, who happens to be a Hindu living in the same village where this mass grave was found and where hundreds of Hindu men were taken away, quoted to Amnesty, said, "I asked them what were they doing. One of them said, you and the ethnics Rakhine are the same. You have different religion. You can't live here." Then they beat us and took away our belongings. Bina Bala is one of the victims who lost her family members in this ambush by the Rakhine ARSA. Not just this, Amnesty's Crisis Response Director Tirana Hassan was quoted as saying, "Our latest investigation sheds much needed light on the largely underreported human rights violation done by the ARSA Rohingyas." And these were two cases which the media never brought it up in a big scale. And these were two cases which we still know, but there are more where a lot of more mass graves were found with Buddhist people buried alive. But what we are told is that Rohingyas don't do this. They are innocent. They never committed any violence. The Myanmar military has been accused of ethnic cleansing. This is not ethnic cleansing. They are protecting their territory. They are being killed. They are being ambushed. The military is being ambushed by Rohingya ARSA Huji, supported by Abdul Qadus, Hafiz Saeed, who are terrorists, UN designated terrorists. But no one tells you that. What we have to do is we have to understand that Myanmar military is protecting its territory, which any army in the world would do. That's what any military would do, protect its territory. Let's not go too far. Let's go back in 2017 in Philippines and Marawi, where the island was taken over by the ISIS terrorists, and the Philippines government had to use Air Force military, full-fledged military, to flush out the ISIS terrorists. To a point now, there are 400,000 people who are displaced in Marawi in Philippines. I'll give you one more example of India's Kashmir. In Kashmir, which is in India, there are over 100,000 Hindus who are living as refugees in their own country. They cannot go back to Kashmir into this day and time. And it's a shame on the Indian government, which was being ruled by the Congress during the 90s, which failed to protect them. The Rohingyas are no victims. They claim that the Myanmar military is brutal. The ethnics are bad people. But I want to ask them, if the military was so brutal and the people were so bad, how come you were allowed to form a majority in one of the territories, on Myanmar's territories, on their property, on their land? It means you are allowed, you are welcomed, you are allowed to stay there. But now you have created a trouble by ARSA, Huji, Abdul Qadus, Hafiz Saeed, who have publicly stated in rallies in Pakistan they will cut off northern part of Rakhine from Myanmar. Why does no one talk about Yemen? Aren't those people Muslims? Aren't those humans? Why does everyone talk about Rohingyas? The Saudi Arabia bombs Yemen every single day. Airstrikes on hospitals, on schools, killing thousands of people. It's the world's worst crisis happening there right now. But I don't see the media because it doesn't suit their narrative. That's why they won't show it to you. My job here is just to share the information with you, and your job is to go and read about it and understand what the Rohingyas are, what ARSA is, who Abdul Qadus is, and how Hafiz Saeed, who is a UN designated terrorist, is helping them to procure weapons from the Bangladeshi border of Rakhine province. Like in the first video I shared with you, how Osama got to be a terrorist, who inspired him, and how Al-Qaeda came to be.